Hi, I'm Madhavi, and this is TSCALES. Conversations around the intersection of design, technology, systems, and the way they shape how we live. I have been thinking about this one thing for a long time. At some points in most creative careers, the story begins to change. The things we were told would matter sometimes don't. The answers we trusted become more complicated, and the systems we built our ambitions around begin to reveal their cracks. Now, not because they were lies, but because they were never the whole truths. Today, I'm joined by Eve Nnaji from Adapt, one of my very close friends and fellow designers, and someone who works has continuously pushed beyond architecture, ecology, systems, cities, and the realities shaping them. Together, we are exploring a question that none of us have a complete answer to. What happens when reality starts moving faster than we can understand the framework or the frameworks which we inherited? And in the world that feels increasingly uncertain, is maturity about finding better answers or learning how to live with better questions? This is T Skills. Let's go. Okay. I think what I've been doing on all my episodes is to try and find out different ways designers struggling or actually going through life. And what I see through you, the journey is again very extremely different from the journeys I've seen before. Um, and I think somewhere we have been together, so I can see where you've evolved or where I have evolved from the same journey itself. You have been born in not Texas, you were in Texas for some time, but then you were born in Lagos. Then you came back again to Lagos, and then you went back to Europe for your masters, and then you back. There was this back and forth which was happening. I think that would have kind of given you this POV from outside and inside both, right? To the outside world and to Lagos. How did Lagos become so crucial? And before all of this, who are you and what do you do?
Okay. Okay, so I'm an architectural designer, and my name is Eve Nnaji. Should have said that first. On the side. And so, yeah, I was born in Nigeria, and then I moved to Texas when I was a child. And I grew up in Texas, where I did my undergrad, and then after that, I moved back to Lagos, where I worked a bit as an architectural designer. And then I wanted to do my master's, so I moved to Barcelona because London is too cold. And then after that was the like, where do I go? Where do I go? And then I decided to move back to Nigeria and start Adapt, which you helped me start.
Yay! Okay. I think the most important thing, again, going back to how I introduced you, there is these different lenses which you had, right? From Texas looking at Lagos, from Lagos looking at Texas and Barcelona. And again, doing this back and forth, how is the POV like?
What was the term? Septic shock. Which is like perfect. Septic
Yes.
shock because I like okay, so I grew up in Texas doing my undergrad in Texas, and then we were taught all of these like ideas about Corbu and Frank Lloyd Wright, and then during that time there was also this movement of like, fluid, slightly like disgusting even architecture that people were using all of these softwares, like really interesting softwares to design. And so my whole world was like, oh, what kind of form architect are you gonna be? Like, what's gonna be like your thing, your design? Yeah. And then I moved to Nigeria, which gave me like a massive reality check because two completely different systems. When I came here, it wasn't about like, oh, like tell me like your ideologies and your form. It was that's not gonna work this is gonna work. It was straight up the realities of the environments, the condition, the country, also the reality of um, the difference between people, like stark difference. And then I think after working here was really tough, and yeah, I was like, let me go do my master's in Barcelona, like let me like slingshot back somewhere. And again, it was this dive into not so much like what kind of form are you going to choose, but more so like the technicalities of building, like how brilliant can you, what systems are you designing that's and it was cool. It was cool because you're using like really advanced technology, robotic arm. I didn't even use it, but I took a class. You used it more. You're using
Yeah.
microscopes to look at materials and all this stuff about science. And that was when, yeah, when I moved back to Nigeria, all those things again, it was like a big reality check again. It's like, oh, you want to create these biometric parametric words because it's parametric.
I think our cities kind of slap you on the face when you come back saying reality. You know, they say reality check, you should just come visit once. Don't talk about it. Seriously. I think another thing was like how you were just talking about this before we started the main call, is how you talk to people around of you, right? Like being human, be having empathy for everybody around of you. And that is not taught. And I'm sure a lot of things cannot be taught, but some of the things which I think where you're when you're setting things up could be taught, right? Like, okay, you will be having like these many teams, and how do you handle, how does the process flow? But you had a take on it, so go ahead and tell.
Yeah, and it's you were also saying like the system you have to start from scratch. You have to build your system by yourself, and it's true. One thing that's not taught, again, hard to teach it, but it's not explored too much in architectural school, is that you have to go outside and speak to like artisans, people who are so far removed from you. And though in undergrad and masters we like collaborated with each other as architects, and we could like teamwork between designers just got better and better and better, but teamwork between like from designer to artisan is lost. And every time we would have projects where you have to go and like source a material from somewhere and get the fabricator to do XYZ, it was always like, oh, thank God I never have to do that project again. That's it.
That's life.
That's the one you're gonna be doing forever. And that social skill, and also that empathy, being able to relate and get to know someone, being able to share why you're doing what you're doing with the artist and the fabricator is so crucial. It needs to be embedded more into the schools. And
A little bit going back to what you said. Sorry, you continue.
no, I was just gonna say Western versus like Nigeria.
Yeah, I was going back to that again. Western versus like Nigeria or India, or like developed,
Yeah.
you know, whatever we are calling these days. Um, there's also like what you've been taught there is very top down process of like this is your framework and this is it, you follow tuck 1 2 3 and you're like done with the end. What happens when you come back, or like when you're opening your firm, it's very ground up process, right? Like you actually look at what is happening around of you, because even we tried to like put a lot of things what we've learned to practice in Nigeria, but then we had to go back and be like, no,
Yeah.
the problem is not this, the problem which we face is extremely different. Like what we talk about sustainability, let the word be something, but then like usage of different material, and you're talking like plastic being something really evil. When we used to walk down the street, we would be like, everyone's using one single thing for ages, right? Recycling is not something which you need to talk about in these countries. We just do recycling,
Yeah.
which is ingrained. So what are we actually changing? What systems we actually need to work on? We don't have to do recycling. There's so much recycling. I'm sure there's other ways, other things to be recycled, but most of the things, perfect.
Yeah. It, this is a hot topic, and it's a hot take. So okay, maybe I'll say it. My hot take is that um,
Please.
sustainability does not make sense for a developing country. It doesn't make a lick of sense, because if you even think about the word, sustaining, what you're trying to do is sustain the current system. The current system is not really in favor of these countries. Sure, like you said, if I walk down the street of Lagos and I'm thinking like recycling, there isn't much to do in terms of what was culturally embedded, because these are systems that we've been practicing for a long time. Where the issue is, for example, plastic being introduced and no sort of precedent for such disposable, things that stay with you forever. And it's like, okay, the problem is something that has kind of been introduced. And if I'm looking at, okay, how do we sustainably recycle this? It's not something that I can embed into the culture. It's something that's completely, it's a Western system that will have to come into Nigeria and then recycle and then just exit out of Nigeria once the problem is solved.
Yeah.
In terms of that's why every time I try not to use the word sustainability. It's nowhere in our website at all. I don't write it down anymore, because it's not about sustaining the system. It's about creating a system that works for these regions intuitively.
I think most of the architects or designers, I think we'll go a little more general, because even design works similarly to architecture. Most of the designers who have become aware of this don't use sustainability term in their vocabulary anymore. They'll be either eco-conscious or like being conscious about what's around of you, rather than I'm just being sustainable of the system which has been taught to me. No, you have to be aware of the systems which you have been taught and then change it according to what's happening in front of you, right? I think that's the larger context today, what we're going to talk about is how world is changing so fast, and are we able to adapt, or are we, what has been taught also for us to trust in all of these systems? Should we be trusting, or should we always be aware, changing, flipping? Maybe there are some systems we can take forward and some needs to just stop.
Yeah.
As soon as possible.
And I think
and how we're going to
go.
No, we will jump into a next segment, but tell.
So it's like globally, there's also this architectural shakedown. So you have on one layer you have the idea of sustainability not matching. Then you also have the idea of architecture completely transforming, especially with the economical crisis globally. So we saw what happened with the line. The line is the line is done, undone. It's gone. Yeah. And the line, I feel like, was that last effort to save, what architecture used to be. It's like a closing, curtains drawn. Architecture is no longer about some crazy off the top idea that has no relevance anymore and does not care about the environment it's being placed in, the people who are building it, even what purpose it's trying to serve. It's just having its own idea removed and then boom, plopping it on top of the earth. That chapter is closing, along with these massive firms that we've all idealized and we've all idolized. And these firms are now facing a big reality. For example, there's lots of protests. I'm not going to say the firm, but these firms are kind of facing a reality check that these old ideologies of what architecture and architect is meant to be, it has no future anymore. we now have real world problems. And
we now have, right?
been having, but yeah, we now have real world problems, and it's calling for architecture as a profession to really like sit down for a second and think about what you want to do next. Like think about the step that you really want to take, and it's calling for Western architecture, whereas developing developing countries, I think they're seeing that this dream that was sold to them of being an architect is kind of dead, and they now need to like, okay, I've learned all this, but like what systems do I create now? How do I let Western architecture figure out its thing? But I have this background of Western architecture. How do I now understand my position in my environment, in this world? Like, what happens when the architect is no longer a sustainable solution?
Right. I think I have a lot of questions like on this, and what we can do today is reflect on a lot of them, because I think all of us at some point, as designers, as architects, as creators, have idealized something, some sentences or statements in our lives, but then reality struck, and then we had to change a little. So we'll try and I'll read these out, and then we'll try and reflect on these, okay? The first one is on inheriting old systems. Buckminster Fuller once said, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete."
Oh, interesting.
Now, right. So it feels like the most creative education still trains people to survive old systems rather than imagine new ones, as we were talking about it, right? And this has been spoken from Buckminster Fuller a long time ago. What are we referencing? Where are we at? What are we doing?
It's weird because there's a educational, I guess, or there's a scholastic part of me that completely agrees, and then there is a part of me that is in that kind of reality that kind of disagrees. So, on one hand, yes, radical interventions, tend to disrupt things, and you should try to have a completely renewed approach that kind of bulldozes the status quo and then goes. But
We did that. We tried.
yeah, exactly. But also that idea is so it carries with it so much, like it's the reason why propaganda exists. It's a very, very Western ideology where it's all about like disrupting and completely, starting from scratch. Whereas for Nigeria, it was a culture that was built on top of itself, layers and layers and layers, like slow turns, slow approaches. It's kind of like a tree ring. It's like saying if you want a better tree, cut this one down and then just start over again. It completely disregards the entire history, and it's also it's unreal. It's like you're kind of lying to yourself, because no matter what you do, it will be built on something. No matter how far you remove yourself, you are inside the system. Therefore, what you are doing will spring from the system itself.
100%. I think I agree with the first thing what he's saying, and I'll read it again. You never change things by fighting the existing reality, right? It's already there. Why are you fighting with it? And we are mostly fighting with the reality, saying, I'm going to just change everything. I think both the sentences are so opposite.
Yeah,
In what it's trying to explain, no? Yeah, you're right. But yeah, I think fighting with it, we tried to fight. I think I wanted to fight a lot about it. There's so many things which are going wrong around us, and mostly it was just exhausting, to be honest. Like, very, very exhausting to see nothing moves till the time. And it was at some bit like it was wrong for us to just first come in and be like, you know what, tomorrow Nigeria or India is going to be different because
Yeah.
I exist.
Yeah.
It existed way before I was born, so obviously I had to respect that, and it teaches you and humbles you very quickly.
Yeah. 100%. It teaches you it teaches you humility, but then also like respect. Because sometimes, you would then have a conversation with someone who's like in their 70s, and they'll be telling you things that you are currently doing. And you're like, you did that? Like, then, why hasn't anything changed?
Oh yeah.
And it feels like nothing has changed, but it's like, look around you. Everything is it's constantly changing, whether you like it or not, whether you are or you aren't. And I also, we have the same personality. Like, I came in wanting to like change everything about Nigeria from scratch. And even till today, there's so many things that are so wrong. But also, this whole idea that like I'm an island and my isolated ideology is the thing that's going to come and completely change everything. It's self-centered, and it's unrealistic. I have to be able to find the people around me who also share the same thoughts, and just kind of rumble. Like, don't stop in terms of, your agitation and being angry and annoyed and trying to change things, but don't do it in isolation. You have to like bump shoulders and elbows with the people around you, and your idea has to constantly like form, kind of like water rushing over a rock. It has to be molded.
Yeah, going back to like, I think I want to talk about like your thesis as well, where you did talk about flooding, but then you actually now are having a project. Again, very different scene, right? Being in Ayak, being in Barcelona, talking about, oh, there's a problem in Lagos and it's flooding and I'm going to, come up with something. And then being in Lagos, being in the flood, being stuck in the flood, and then coming up with a solution. I'm sure there's like,
Oh my god, like this is the one that like, even yesterday I was sitting in my office and I asked my team, I was like, can we do this? And they're like, yeah, what please, Eve, like do not change the project. Because the reality is realistic. It's real. And so in Barcelona, my thesis was how do we stop urban flooding? And I thought that the proposal would be some, futuristic device that you like stick in the flood and it like sucks up water and then it turns it into like drinkable, potable water and mist. Genuinely, Madhavi, I was like, it's gonna be like a device. I'm gonna prototype the device. I'm gonna use Arduino.
yeah, we can do all the cool stuff that I provide.
Literally.
Use all the robots.
Yeah, maybe I'll 3D print a clay thing that like uses passive. And funny enough, in Barcelona, my advisors actually, they advised me really well because they were like, stop. What you have to do is first understand the environment and how it works in general. And that was when I think the conclusion of the thesis was like, you got to go upstream the problem to actually find the source and then address that source. And also realize that what you're addressing has a ripple effect everywhere else as well. Your solution also may be a problem in some way, but just have ideas and also humble yourself about it. Then when I came to Lagos, I was like, let's go. Like, let's stop flooding. Let's go the state government. Let me I was like fantasizing, pitching in front of the government, being like, and that's how.
I have done. Imagine not being from Lagos, and I have imagined the same with you. And I remember our conversations, right? Yeah.
Just mic drop, like, that's how we solve it. And they're like, let's go, here's the money. But then actually going to the place that's flooded, seeing like the expanse of water, it really humbles you and it makes you ask the question like, who are you? And who are you? What is this? What is this solution? Do you really understand me as an environment? And do you not understand that you are a part of this? You are a part of me. So Lagos State, Lagos State has way too many problems. It was just like flooding. We have flooding. Didn't know that. We'll address that later. But I was lucky enough to go to Anambra, which is another state in the east that is right on the Niger River. And they, during a presentation I gave, they came up and said, "Look, come to Anambra and see if you can do something about the flooding there on the river, the river." So I went there and seeing the Niger River, how wide it was, like as we were driving past it, I was like, oh, oh my God. Oh my God. I was like looking at my thesis again. I was like, what was I saying? And getting there, trying to speak the language that I had in my thesis, to the local community, it made no sense. I got there and I was speaking like, if we can optimize the environment and micro catchments, have them absorb,
Nothing works.
the language already was completely different. What I realized I had to do in that first site visit was just listen. I just had to listen and also realize that I knew nothing about this environment. I understand the flow of water, like theoretically, generally, but what was happening in this environment, in this town, to these people, I have no idea about. And I think once I realized that, like humbling myself and just being open to learn, I then also realized that my solution, it doesn't have to be an architectural solution, it doesn't have to be called a solution. It's more so my relationship with the people. And how do I build that relationship as opposed to how do I implement my solution? So it's been 3 years. I still go on site visits, I still text them. And at this point they're like, all right, we know you, like get some funding, girl, and let's get going. Which is where we are now. We're like, okay, we've involved other partners and we can do something. But creating that relationship, I think is the main thing. It is what you call the solution.
Yeah, I think I want people who are tuning in, I hope a lot of people are tuning in, to listen to the journey, because a lot of times we are extremely hopeful and we have this sense of future when we are, learning design, or we are in the school, and how the reality is and how it humbles us, but like how you change, but also have the energy still to go on with the thing and not just like leave it on the way, right? That's very, very, the resilience which the whole process teaches you is incredible, and please stick through it. And I know we always talk about leaving the journey and being free from all of it, but again, I don't think we can. We want to be with it and like evolve. I'm not sure how we're going to be after next 5 years, and I'm looking forward to it. Like it'll be.
Oh, I also encourage everyone to like stick to it, and that's the thing. If you're gonna get into anything that's environmental or has long-term change, then you're dedicating like a big chunk of your life, because the environment's slow, and you have to get on its timeline. It's not something. It's not Instagram worthy.
Oh yeah, it's not 30 seconds reel.
Yeah. Here's how I save flooding. First of all, I
Oh God, that's the most annoying. Anyway, I'll put out my reel tomorrow. Okay, we'll go to the second statement. A lot of creatives enter architecture and design believing talent, hard work will naturally lead somewhere meaningful. And then reality turns out to be far more political, emotional, economical, and than we whatever we expected when the journey started. What is your opinion?
Oh man, 100%. It's so crazy because I think from undergrad, I was like, okay, great. I think I have some talent here in architecture. Like, I think this is my stick. and I was like, my like purity in ideology and design will guide me through. Like it will, it's the thing that will. It's not. It's the thing that makes you like enjoy it and happy about it, because like parts of it are effortless and parts of it are fun for you, but in terms of actually getting your ideas, delivering your ideas to someone, and also like moving whatever this needle is that everybody's trying to move. In terms of this, you have to realize that there are like the world requires much more in terms of communication. You do have to be political. As much as you might say like I hate politics and I hate this, like you have to be able to learn different languages that you never knew. You have to think economically, or else it will never be built. It will never work. You have to be able to completely scale back, dismantle your idea, and start with like just, the, shoot of it, and say, fine, if we can just get this done, then I'm happy.
Yeah.
But it's these skills, which are social skills, being able to talk to the person next to you, relate with them, form something with them that is going to make anything happen. If that.
Yeah.
And it's weird because in architecture school, there's always like the celebrity there who like their project is always like, oh wow, did you see like.
Which was you.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Okay, yeah. There's always like. I was a little bit of an overachiever. There was always someone else who, their project was like, oh wow, did you see the, and architecture school praised that, and it graded that, but the world doesn't reward that, which we've seen with the line. That's a project that if you pitch in architecture school, people be like, oh, it's kind of insane, but it's pretty interesting and it's cool you did that. But you do it in the real world, it crumbles. It doesn't accept it.
Yeah, also I think for everybody the path is so different, right? Like it's not one single thing. Even if you're, say, hard worker or naturally talented or everything else. See, I'm not saying I am all of those things, but
you are all of those things.
Studying and I mean, I'm not going to praise myself, So, like when all of those things are there and you're motivated still, you might have to change your path. Like for me, like how we sat together, and I was extremely emotional about the whole thing, but I had to cut path saying no. But right now, financials are important. The economic part does not make sense for me right now. So I'll have to divert, do what I have to do, and then probably like next 10 years or like 5 years, probably 10 years, and then I can come back, and then do what bit is required. And that's also fine for like people who are listening. I think very important that your path is different. Do not compare it with anybody else's. Okay, I'll go to the next one. Okay, this is on the collapse of the romantic profession. There's this moment many people quietly go through when the romantic version of the profession starts to collapse. And what replaces it often is far more complicated but also more honest. I mean, I think we've spoken about it a lot, but sure. It's too honest, humbling. I don't know. It's too big. Whatever just comes.
It's too real. Like it's too real. It's true. There's this. I mean. So I was telling you that like we had a call with MEP. And in my career, I didn't think I would be, dealing with MEP and all this, and it can drain, the creation from the project, the creativity. And I feel like if you're someone that like needs romance, you have to also realize that all these little tiny mundane and also annoying parts of the gig is also romantic. It can be romantic. And I think sometimes I step back and I look at myself, I'm like, look at me, I'm having a meeting with MEP and these girls. And there's something also there's something that at the end of the day I'm like, okay, this is an interesting life, or okay, this is a, I didn't foresee this part, but I can fall in love with it. No, let me know. I can't fall in love with it, but I can experience it as if it is romantic, and it's. I think that a lot of times, like, we get lost, we lose all these tiny details of our lives because we're waiting for like these big moments, the moment where you get like some award, or the moment where like you walk into the building that you built, and but like all those tiny moments in between, if they don't have weight or importance, like if you don't just take a second to realize that you're inside this moment and also like celebrate that, tiny little moment, then it kind of feels like forever. Of course you would lose passion. Of course you would lose, romance, but yeah, I know it's hard. It is easier said than done, but you.
I'll build on something which you just said. Like when you're sitting in this meeting and you sometimes feel like, what am I doing? And that's so crazy because all of us are figuring shit out
Yeah.
as we move forward. Like everybody, even if you're 50, 60, 70, or 20,
Everyone is always figuring everything out.
that moment, yeah, figuring that thing out. And when you're sitting in that moment where you're like handling a team, once you've grown like say 10 years or like 8 years in the profession, and you see these people and you're like, oh my god, they're actually taking me seriously. It's such a crazy moment to have, because at 20 you were still like, I'm gonna study, I'm gonna go forward, but now people are listening to you because you had this ideology and you held on to it. It's just insane.
And this is why, like, I always tell, I tell myself, also the team that I'm working with, that I'm more interested in you developing as a person. Like, we don't work at night and we don't work on weekends. I'm like, you need to have a life. You need to have a life. You need to have friends. You need to have, like, you need to have something inside of your core that is filling you, that is not work. You need that in order so that when you are proposing something, your thought about, okay, you want this like massive, circular column that's just pure concrete. Your thought should be the people that are going to build this and pour that concrete and wait for it to cure. All those people are real individual people. Think about how arduous that task is. Because when the engineer is telling you that, like, look, this is going to be quite a feat, the engineer, she is also thinking about, I said she's also thinking about those people. And as an architect, if you don't have that, if you don't have life inside you and people inside you, then you won't understand what they're saying at all. That reality will never set in you. But if you are able to think about people, when you design, you'll design much more differently.
Welcome back. Maybe our fascination with craft isn't really about objects. Maybe it's about our search of care, attention, and meaning in world optimized only for efficiency. If this conversation sparked a thought, left with you with a question or something you want to let us know, it'll be great to comment. Thanks for listening. This is TSCALES.